Hello everyone. Today just got some more basic stuff I need to do. I've got the second wind turbine frame to put together, but I also want to start putting together the framework for all the windows and the window shutters. And I have to apologize because last couple days I was working on this thing right here, and the turret was just full up of just mouse crap. I mean, it was pretty bad. I mean, not necessarily mouse, but rock chuck or raccoon or whatever. And then yesterday, after I went back home, I got a horrible sore throat. I mean, it was pretty nasty. In fact, right now I still sort of got it up into my nose a little bit. I feel good otherwise, but I'm definitely certain I picked up something from that. So it is one thing to be able to do a bit of work on some stuff when you're feeling good, but when you're not feeling very good, it takes a lot more concentration. So basically, one of the issues I have is our shop's been super busy, and I've got this big plate steel. I've cut up a lot of the metal. I had some pieces of steel that were even bigger than this, and it was like getting in the way. So, and that metal was for the steel frames for the windows and the half-inch plate for the shutters. That's 3/4 inch. So I cut up all the big sheets so they fit down on this one plate. But to make more room, because we've had a lot of projects here, I'm gonna have to start putting together the window frames before I get back to the other wind turbine frame, just so I can get the metal all sort of like packed together, because we got stuff everywhere in the shop. So today I am going to basically put together one of the frames for a window, make a jig so I can put them together up at the mountain, because I've got enough right here to build one window frame, and then that big 5x8 sheet over there is for the shutters. But I want to put together the frame and build a jig and stuff to do hinges and everything, and so I can figure out exactly how big I want the shutters to be, how much they're going to fit over. So I'm going to play around with some sizes. I mean, I could have like just come up with something on SolidWorks, but sometimes I just like to see things fit before I finalize my decision. So I am going to I have a whole bunch of 1-inch steel square tubing, which I'm going to use for building the jig to put these together. So I'm trying to design it such that I can build these window frames up on the mountain, because it's just much easier if you have a jig that holds everything together, so you can just weld it and just go to the next one rather than trying to fight with measurements all the time. So I've got a bunch. I'm gonna use this, and then I've got some 1/2-inch rod stock for the hinges, and I don't remember the size of this tubing that the rod will fit in for the hinges. So I'm gonna get started on that, and then we'll get back and see where we're going from there. I have all my pieces cut. My windows are basically an opening of 2 feet by 4 feet. The frames take up a 1/2 inch on the inside diameters. So my windows that I'm gonna have to get are gonna be 23.5 inches by 47.5 inches. And so I'm gonna make a jig here. So when I go and take these pieces of C-channel to put in the frame, you put some mortar down along the blocks, you press that down, you put one up on the top, and you press the side pieces up against, then you push the assembly that's going to be made out of this inside to make sure that the window's true. So every window I make will be identical, so it'll be easy to order glass windows with the frames and everything, because everything will be exact, and I can say, hey, these are my measurements. I'm gonna have my windows going to be just a slide up and down, and it'll be much easier to install if everything's exactly the same. So I'm just using an assembly line process with jigs, so everything will be the same. Now I just slowly start putting all these pieces together. I just got to make sure everything's straight. Since this is going to be the main jig everything's going to be made from, everything has to be exactly square. So I'm just going to take it very slowly, start getting all the pieces welded, and once I get the basic frame work done, I can show you what I've got. As you can see, my frame jig is coming along rather well. I just have another piece to weld here, and then I will weld each of the joints a little more solid, but doing everything I can to keep this thing square and true. All right, here's my setup, my jig on a piece of the C-channel for the bottom of the windows for the Fortress. There's two. There's one for the bottom, one for the top, and then two sides. So what will end up happening is these will not be welded together here. They'll be welded up at the Fortress. So what will end up happening is I will take the bottom piece here and put some mortar down on the block and push it down. Just sort of squish it down a little bit, not too hard. And then I am going to take some mortar and put it on the sides of the block wall on both sides, and then on the top piece I will put some mortar inside the C-channel, and then I will push it up. And when I push it up, I will have two of these. I'll take this one on the one side, push it up, that will hold one side, and then I'll grab the other side and push the other side up, and then once I get it basically in place, I will take this framework and slide it in, and that will then hold all the pieces to the proper locations, and then I'll be able to start welding them. So I am just going to sort of clamp everything together right now and see how the frame works, and then I will weld together one frame right here because I'm going to need it to figure out where I'm going to put my hinges and the shutters. So one of the frames is going to be also sort of a jig for making all the half-inch shutters. So keep going. Well, there is one of the frameworks for the main windows. There's some windows that are a different size, but most are this size. I've got the jig in there that was used to hold everything to be at where it needs to be. And now I have to work out the shutter arrangements. So I'm thinking I'm going to use 3 hinge points on each side. So each piece, and I think I'll probably, well, I was thinking of making them a mirror image, but then I realized I have gravity and I want to be able to have it so you put the shutters on and drop them down. So I guess it won't be exactly a mirror image, but so I'm gonna now think to myself the size of the hinges I'm gonna use. I figure I'm gonna use 3 with the hinge points on top, bottom, and middle. So I'm gonna go and do some thinking and see where I'm gonna go from there. Well, I made a bunch of the tubings for the hinges. As you can see, it'll take 12 for each window. I decided on 2 inches a piece, and then it uses 1/2-inch rod stock, but I got a 1/2-inch bolt in there right now. I think it'll be easier to put the bolts in for now, but I've got the rod stock should I decide to put that in. So I've already worked out what I'm going to do. I'm going to have 13 by 50 shutters, 1/2-inch, but it's getting late now, and since I'm still getting over whatever it is I got, I am going to head home, and I will work on this another day. The next couple days I'm going to be back and forth up on the mountain, Even though I don't have the turbine 2 done, I can still put up the rest of the wall to the east and around turbine 1. So as soon as that wall gets done, then we can also look about hooking up stuff for the solar panels. I have 26 or 28 330 watt panels, and I would like to design a way to be able to rotate the panels out from the sun's view 180 degrees with a steel plate on the back. In case we get something like hail or something, I can have all the solar panels flip over so hail won't damage the panels. So that'll be it for now. This video will probably continue, so I'm gonna get some rest. It's been a little while since I've been working on the projects for the Fortress, especially the turbine assemblies and the window frames. But today, Saturday, I am going to cut up my 1/2 inch $1,000 piece of steel, a 5x10 sheet, to make the shutters for the windows. So apparently, after I do my calculations, I can cut out 9 shutter pieces, 2 shutter pieces per window. So that means I'm gonna have enough for 4 windows and a half. We're still gonna need a lot more than that in the future, but I'm gonna cut them up. Now, these are gonna be pretty simple. I'm not gonna have any holes put in them with the machine. I am simply gonna cut them out. They're 13 inches by 50 inches. And basically I'm gonna set them up without any locking mechanisms at this time. I was thinking about having our machine here put the holes in, but the issue I have with that is it tends to harden the metal around where the holes that it cuts. And then when I try to drill or whatever, it just destroys the drill bit. So I will just cut all the pieces manually. I mean, drill holes manually in the pieces where I need them. And I have not quite determined exactly how I'm gonna do the shutters. Whether I'm gonna go some old school style or some more expensive style. But I do want to at least make the shutters so that I can use them on the Fortress currently. And because I need to get the windows and everything closed up, I need to get door frames on there so I can start using the building. Because up there right now, with the winds as high as they are, you put anything inside and it'll get blown right out the other side. So if I can get the shutters in, at least I can get using it somewhat, and then I can then work on ordering windows. So I won't be building the windows. I'm going to try to find somebody that can do those, and there'll be aluminum frame windows that slides up and down. So first thing is I got to get this piece onto this machine, which basically is maxing it out. So this machine can do 5x10. The hardest part is this table is not 100% level, and I'll have to watch the cutting tip as it's cutting, because if it goes up above too high, it won't cut all the way through, and it's a pain in the ass to try to get the pieces out if it doesn't cut all the way through. So I'm going to get that up on the table and go from there. There's the plate. It completely takes up the entire table. Now I just gotta like get it centered up and aligned up. Gotta create my 0 point, which is going to be right there. Basically right in that corner. Hope I got that set up right, but that's going to be my 0 point. And then I'm just going to set up and then cut all my pieces down. Okay, well, I set up the program for cutting. Didn't like trying to cut 9 pieces. I only wanted to cut 8. My calculations show that they should be able to cut 9 with 0.3 inches between them. So the machine's automatic nesting function won't do that, so I tried adjusting it so it'll be cutting super close. But I went and did some more calculations to see if maybe if I made the shutters slightly narrower, I could be able to do this a little more easier. But this is a 5 by 10 foot sheet of steel. If I go by 5 by 8 cutting these, I'll have a little bit better leeway. So I think I'm going to keep the shutters the width that I wanted. I wanted them to close up as tight as I could. So I'm about ready here to get this thing going, and we'll see whether or not we get 9 nice shutters, or I've just blown $1,000. Well, I'll be watching. If for some reason it's messes up part way through, I can stop it. So let me get this thing ready to fire up. All the parameters in. I'm all set up to do the cutting. Everything's set up. I'm thinking my last little thoughts on this, and program start. Everything looks okay right now. We'll know more when it goes to cut the second plate, whether or not I'm too close. It should be okay. I mean, even if it's really close, it should just cut over it. Now is when I find out. It seems to be working. It is close. The first cut took most of the metal out, so the cut between the sheets, it's just barely just taking a very small amount off. So as long as it's like that, we'll be good. Succeeded. We got it. So I'm pretty happy about that. Everything looked like it cut fine. I just have one long strip of leftover material. Basically, there's nothing else left. So that worked out pretty good. So I've been thinking many ways and trying to figure out how to minimize this, but to no avail, even if I go with the smaller plate. So, all right, well, now I'm gonna get it all taken apart and see what we got. Well, each of the shutters looks good. I've pulled off my remaining leftover piece, and this is what I got here. The other 8 shutters, I'm gonna bring them up and clean them up, and I'm gonna start putting the hinges on them. So in order to put the hinges on, I'll be using the basically jig frame that I built here, and I think we're doing pretty good. So I'm going to start cleaning up all the shutters, or at least 2 of them for right now. Well, I've placed a couple of the shutters down, and I got my hinges here. I was going to use these, but the heads are causing it to push away from where I have to weld. So I always planned on using these pins. The tops of the pins would be welded to the top. So well, either that or I'll do it to the window frame. I haven't yet thought about exactly if I want to do it on the window frame or the shutters. So, well, I think it's time for me to get something to eat, and then I'll be right back and work on this some more. Well, a lot of work today, a lot of work. And I finally got one of the window shutter assemblies put together. Now there's no handle on it right now because I haven't quite figured out exactly how I want to be locking them together. I've got a couple possibilities, but those possibilities can be done after it's actually installed. So I can open the shutter. The problem is, without a handle right now, I have to do some wedging to get that open. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand it up and show you how it works. I have it standing up. It's very, very heavy. Had to put a strap there so it doesn't tip over. So you can open the thing right up. Opens more, but it wants to like move around a little bit. So there it is. I'm sort of planning on putting 2 pieces of metal that like stick out 1 inch down below and down higher on both sides, and then use a 1 inch piece of 1 inch by 2 inch bar stock that goes across to lock it in. Or I could use a 1 inch or a 1 inch by 1 inch by whatever the length. So basically like what you would see in the old times, where they had on the main gates of the fortress, they brought the big log and they dropped it into the hooks to hold the gates closed. So I'm thinking that's what I'm going to do here. And on one of these I am going to put a piece of strap iron across it so that there won't be a direct crack right there, because if you close these up right here, there's still like a little bit of a little crack, and I don't want anything to be able to go through. So I'll put a piece of metal on one side. I'll be thinking which side I'm going to do it to, whether I just standardize and do it to the same side on every one, or maybe swap them. But I'm going to be using this jig right here to make all my doors. So all the the shutters, so all the shutters are going to be identical. I want to be able to pull a shutter off of one and be able to put it on another one, and then it would fit right in. So I am going to see what else I'm going to do and get back to this video. Well, I've been doing all the cleanup, put all the metal back, got everything set here. I got a bunch of shutter pieces cut. I've got enough stuff for two windows. This would be a third, but I'm going to use it as a jig to make all the shutters for all the rest of the windows. And I had to close this off because with the weight on the front, it'll flip over if it's by itself with the weight of those shutters. So I've decided to end this video here. We've got a shutter that's actually functional. So the big thing now is just a lot of tedious work now to get other ones done. I mean, really, when you're thinking about it, there's 2 half-inch pieces of metal for the shutters for one window. The Fortress has got like around 30 windows. That's a lot of work. I'll try to figure out exactly if there's a way to speed it up or not. But at least the one thing I can probably speed up pretty quick is just making the frame and weld on the lower hinge point on all the frames. And since the 1/2 inch metal is so expensive, I can basically just put the frames in, and then probably see about contacting somebody about putting the aluminum window inserts inside, because the shutters can always go on later once that lower hinge is welded onto the frame. You can basically just open the window, put the shutter out, except for it's a little heavy though. It would be sort of fun, interesting to do that. Probably the easiest way would be to hook up a rope to it from the roof and lower it down. Would probably be the easiest, and then guide it, but that would take 2 people, or 1 person, 1 winch. Oh, we'll figure it out. So thank you all for watching, and I really appreciate if you would subscribe and like this video if you like it. Things have been a little slow. The videos aren't that interesting, I think, for this last month. Hopefully, once some of this tedious work gets done, that we'll get into some more interesting stuff. There's going to be a whole bunch of cool things with new sources of energy and just a lot of other stuff. So thank you, and I'll see you on the next video.